So in Bitcoin, my natural tendency always was skew towards like where my tendencies with all things is fuck the government, fuck the big guy. Like I'm a little brother. I've always been rebellious towards anything where I don't have control and sovereignty. And it took a long time to wake up to how many places we don't have sovereignty, because a lot of it is we're just ignorant. And so in Bitcoin, I naturally skew towards that anarcho kind of like do your own fucking thing, build your own system kind of way. But I am also tempered by understanding that like inherently, suppose that mindset wins out. Suppose we're in a different reality where the anarcho crypto just wins out all the way. But in that world, still, if that works, it would naturally get adopted by other people anyways and get replicated by other people. So you're inherently going to wind up in a world where there's a little bit of everything happening. For me, the big concern is that you need to keep that thread alive, and you need to keep that thread healthy and independent. Because if you walk into a world like what Sam Bankman-Fried was kind of doing when he was really in the space and talking all these regulations and like being the fucking face of crypto in general, and it's like suddenly it's like you have these big crypto influencers like actively pushing for regulation and pushing for like just one way and kind of monopolies, and
it's hard not to look at that and feel like that's a concerted effort to like,
oh, he looked like a fucking ass, dude.
The whole movement then all of a sudden like go this direction.
100%. And so the whole space feels like it has lots of players in it that are either witting or unwittingly helping to push towards more control and less autonomy and less independence. And that's a huge concern in my mind. I want a diverse free market.
And I know you follow Whitney's work, maybe not everything that she's done, but Whitney and Mark Goodwin and myself and others have written extensively about, like, for example, the Genius Act. That's like the big thing they're promoting. It's the crypto bill, and it's being heavily promoted by this woman. She's a senator, I believe, Cynthia Loomis. She's here. I don't know if she's still here, but she was here yesterday. She's been one of the biggest advocates of crypto in this Genius Act, but the Genius Act is stable. And this is the stablecoin surveillance that Whitney and Mark have been warning about. And you have Howard Lutnick of Tether, Andrew Fitzgerald, also major investor in Rumble. So you know these pieces.
Howard's behind the scenes of a lot of things.
Yes, he's playing a lot. And he was Epstein's neighbor, all this stuff, fun stuff. He happens to not go to work on 9/11. People in his office has died. But so there's all these moves being made. And the Genius Act, while some of this crowd, like, for example, I heard Don Trump Jr. speak yesterday, and he was like, We've been fighting for free speech and fighting censorship, and we're going to take Bitcoin from million and all this sort of things. Of course, this crowd like cheers it on because, again, especially if you're just focusing lore support of Bitcoin based on the number.
And number go up, right?
Exactly. That's what it is. It's number go up. So who cares if we lose privacy? Who cares if it's adopted? Because like you said, it doesn't necessarily matter that it's adopted by bag. The worst person in the world could adopt Bitcoin. At the end of the day, it's spreading adoption, right? But the big thing, I think, is that changing of the viewpoint from a revolutionary tool to just another stock that you hold in your portfolio that you don't actually understand, and then it just becomes completely neutered. So you don't have to.
Well, also it lays the foundation. If that mindset gets pervasive enough, it leaves us open to, in the future, perhaps someone coming along and saying, oh, we should probably fork Bitcoin so that we can make it more useful in this way and this way and this way. And suddenly you don't have enough mass understanding of why the fuck not. Like, no, we are not doing that. It's like, really, like 21 million, really? Like, maybe we should, like, you know what I'm saying? And so if you don't have enough, like, OG, like, people that understand, you need that thread to stay strong. Because ultimately, you're going to wind up with all sorts of shit coins, all sorts of scams. Stable coins are, I hate to say it, but they're going to get their surveillance coins. What we need is we need education and we need options. So that way they're going to fight to force people to use them. They're going to fight to force people that if you want to engage in mainstream world, you have to be in the surveillance network.
Not really teach right? They have to use it, but that this is the better option. Like, it's sort of like a co-op. This is what I really see is like a co-opting of what Bitcoin was, what freedom really means. And being free now means, okay, it's not a CBDC. Trump banned those that celebrate that, which is a good move. But then you have stable coins with effectively the same thing. And a kind of a continuation of the same old economic paradigm that, as you know, has caused all kinds of, untold problems. And I think that's what and that's why it's weird for me. It's like, I like coming here to meet people.
It is a
right. Also, I'm like, I'm in the fucking room yesterday and I'm just hearing these people. And all I could think is like Gaza. I'm thinking of like the things that we've talked about, criticism and concern. Like, for example, David Sachs was here speaking. He's PayPal Mafia, AI, crypto czar, technocracy. And how many people in that room have any of the idea of that? They're just like, oh, White House guy saying Bitcoin's good.
I mean, same with JD Vance.
Yeah,
this morning, right?
And yeah, that's the Peter Thiel acolyte. potentially next president.
Almost certainly, I think.
And so it's crazy to me just to see that there's a huge like dearth of knowledge of that upper share.
Yeah, it's really concerning that, like, this is human nature, right? That you just want to win, and humans just want to win.
Yeah.
And they're not dumb. These people, like the banks, know this, and we are very vulnerable to being manipulated by the number going up. And even the most idealistic crypto like OG, when they go from being like a pizza delivery guy to 10 years later, they are a multi-millionaire. It's like that person might not hold true to their morals in the same way. And you kind of feel that behind the scenes in some ways at a place like this. But I am encouraged by a lot of like really cool people that you meet here that are still pretty fucking hardcore. It's a mixed bag.
To bring a little nuance to it, it's I have my skepticism as I just outlined. But one thing I think that some of the other, let's say, more extreme side of the crowd, because there's a spectrum, as you know. There's people who are, even in my audience, who have hated every time I've ever mentioned Bitcoin or crypto. But if I ask them if they've ever opened a wallet, if they've ever made a transaction, if they understand what blockchain is, they have no understanding. So it's kind of hard to take them real serious. I'm like, well, you don't really fundamentally understand the technology. And it's sort of, so that's on one extreme. Anything crypto, anything blockchain, all bad. But then I'm like, well, what about Odyssey, the censorship-free video platform that's built on a blockchain? That's a positive use case, right?
I didn't actually realize that Odyssey's built on a blockchain. That's cool. I got to learn more about that.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite video platforms.
That's cool.
And then, you got things like Monero. So there's other projects that are more private that I think still maintain that sort of radical vision of what they have been, but they're not worth 100,000 plus, right? So that's what's going to get people's attention.
Yeah.
But then the folks who really understand it, which has always been my focus, I think I mentioned this to you before. I did a tour in 2017, 2018, sponsored by Roger Ver, sponsored by Bitcoin.
Oh, word.
Specifically for the purpose of promoting Bitcoin adoption, because back then I still had a little bit of optimism that like, okay, we just need to get enough people to see it and then travel around and get businesses to open it up. And then sooner or later, we can spend Bitcoin everywhere. We don't have to use the government's money. And then in that process, like Bitcoin forked and all this fun stuff been going on. And so I'm not very optimistic for that anymore. I still hold a little bit of Bitcoin, but I'm super like, I'm not a maxi for anything. I'm a maxi for you. So if it works, and I want to use it. When Bitcoin's functional, great. Things like that. But I'm, for all the reasons I've already mentioned, just super skeptical of it. But I don't think you out there should take the message that means anything related to Bitcoin or blockchain is automatically bad. Because there's incredible trying some cool things.
And the technology, like a lot. So let's take one of the main concerns of Bitcoin, right? Which is privacy. It's all surveillable. And we've got like CIA agents on record in videos saying like, oh yeah, we track criminals, like we track everyone's Bitcoin. Like we track the shit out of that. Bingo, right? It's all surveillable. So like, not good. But like, you don't necessarily need what you use Bitcoin for to be private, because it's not a private asset. And so it's like, cool. In the future, we're learning that if you want your public wealth to be stored in a secure money, Bitcoin works well for that. Right? But if you want privacy, you're going to need to find another technology. But Bitcoin did introduce all these technologies of like, I mean, it wasn't the first, but it really has normalized blockchains, decentralized ledgers, and so much more. And so it's like, now we have all these other technologies. And I'm looking forward to where like you take that blockchain, which locks stuff into public ledgers, right? And you apply that to the stock market, or you apply that to our voting. Right?
There's
public goods.
Essential. I had a friend years ago. Had to be a decade now. He created something called Bit Congress. He was one of the first. Like, why don't people want to blockchain? Yeah, there's ways that it could be. And then the other flip side is like everything you do labeled, it's stored up.
Exactly. There's the
I'm like, well, if you don't have your water token,
yeah,
get water. It's
in the chip in your wrist, right? Like,
so there's the clear downsides and all of that, but. Yeah, I'm still holding on to a little bit of my techno optimism, and I've done plenty of reports and writing about the downsides of blockchain and the co-opting the Bitcoin space. And I saw it a lot in Nashville when I was here last time when Trump spoke, because it was just so clear. This crowd, because they're single issue voters, because they're worst build, all you have to do is throw them that bone, and you pretty much got them. So.
Which is just, it's not the original Bitcoin mindset. It's not. So an interesting thing happened earlier today. Ryan Cohen from GameStop announced this like buy of Bitcoin, and they asked him in that interview, like, so I forget the exact question, but it's sort of like, so does that mean you're running like the sailor strategy or this? And he got to this sentence where he said like, no, you shouldn't trust in me. You shouldn't trust in GameStop. You should think for yourself. Do whatever you think is right. And like, that's a mindset that we need to hold on to. This mindset of like, it's not like, oh, orange pill or bust. It's not like you're not a single issue voter. You're a thoughtful person that like, you know, thinks for yourself about what you need in your life, what you need for your community. And like, I feel like I wasn't there, but I feel like that's what the original Bitcoin thesis was still outside the box.
That's the problem with the any kind of subculture, sub-community, when it becomes cult-like.
When it turns into a goal.
Becomes orange pill, you know, and so there's even a Bitcoin community. It's like carnivore is it's all distinct. Throw along with
100%.
If you're not a part of that club, well, you're not with it. So then so many people just get in that group thing, whether it's Bitcoin or something else.
Human nature,
like,
unfortunately.
Hey, Bitcoin solves everything. Don't question it. Like, attack anybody who's critical of it. They must be a shill. And that's not a good way.
That's why I like the reporting that you and a lot of your other friends do, is that like technology is coming one way or another and we're going to deal with it. But like, we need critical thinkers kind of looking at all the angles of like, how can we use this for good and how can this enslave us?
Well, and like
all along the way.
Like I said, like, think for yourself. Don't just accept.
Exactly.
It's like you don't have to accept every new update in your phone. You don't have to download every new trendy app. We need to be thinking about that in the ways that we relate to all technology. And for some people, that's going to be like, I don't use any of it. I, totally just abandon it. I don't use whatever. And others are going to be like, okay, I'm willing to use this, but not this.
Yeah.
And then some are going to embrace everything and,
A lot will, unfortunately, but.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit of conspiracy before I let you go.
Yeah.
So I saw, and because I know you enjoy these, I saw you tweet about it, the bracelet thing.
Yeah, the bracelet game, dude.
Bracelet game. So there's, I don't know what it was. It was like a screen grab of you on Candace, right?
Yeah. It was the whole episode.
Yeah, so somebody took a screenshot low of it, right? It's like, hey, are you wearing it?
No, I got rid of it because everyone threw such a fuss.
So you're wearing a red bracelet, and it is true that there is a red bracelet.
Yeah, no, it's all. Well, I found out it's the exact same one later.
It's the evil eye thing.
Yeah, exactly, evil eye.
So, people get a picture of Ian. They get pictures of Tucker, who's also wearing a similar thing, and a few other people, and it's basically like Ian's part of the Kabbalah.
The Illuminati.
So, what are your thoughts on that? You shared this story online, but
no, let's talk it through. So, I mean, I'm new here. I had heard about the red bracelet thing, and I had seen it about people freaking out about Tucker, which I had already thought, like, come on, like, Tucker, you really think Tucker's like a Kabbalist, like this fucking, like, deeply Christian white guy?
Skeptical.
Well, whatever. Like, and I mean, like, he, Tucker's got a history, but I thought he had a red string, like a red singular string. So I've been under the impression that the red singular string is this, like, Kabbalah thing or this, like, whatever. And so when I got given this gift, which is, it's kind of awkward to get a gift from your girlfriend's dad, but whatever.
Sorry,
like,
Illuminati, I care.
I'm in it, and it's like, whatever. It's like, I love this girl, and, like, I'm not going to disrespect her father as, like, we're about to, like, hit the road, and, like, he's not going to see her for a long time. It's like, I'm going to treat him with respect. So I'm like, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Did he say, like, this is for your protection, or what?
No. So she had traveled to Greece when she was much younger, and, like, in Greece, it's an evil eye thing, and it's the exact same kind of bracelet. And so she had liked those they're like an Irish Catholic family. She was just like a young girl that was like, oh, these are cute. And so they had a tradition of him, like, because he travels for work, and when he does, he'll like buy her one. And so he came back from travel just like a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, and bought her one and thought, I'll buy one for Ian too. And it happens to be fucking red. So I realized that the internet is gonna think that's. I didn't realize it is literally the same thing, but I thought it was like they're gonna think that's like Tucker's bracelet. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, it'll be pretty funny. So I put it on and I like wear it because I also realized that it's like my first day on Candace. Which I mean, Candace would be pissed, but whatever. It's like, that's hilarious because I know who Candace is. She's not like in some fucking Illuminati. She's like exposing the president of France to be married to a man, probably her uncle, probably a Rothschild. But I put it on and I wear it, and then I learned like, and you're right that when you search, it's like actually that evil eye thing in Greece is seen as an evil eye thing. It's around the world, but in I guess Kabbalah, it is a Kabbalah thing.
It specifically is so again, like, just wanted to give you a chance to clear the air.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me because I'll say this. I don't know that you are Kabbalah, this and that, but I just love how the internet does take little pieces. This is a problem. It's funny, but it's also a problem with, and I'm not going to name any names because there's a lot of people I do respect, but I do think there is a problem with guilt by association, and I'm sure over the years that I've probably fallen into it here and there because connections do matter. It's not say that like how our relationship do it, or David Sachs and Peter Thiel. Those things do matter. We should be like, hey, let's keep an eye on this person. But sometimes there's like, well, he was pictured with this person at a dinner date 7 years ago, and and
there's a black checkerboard background behind it. It must be.
And at the same time, I'm kind of like, hey, at the top. Yeah, I've been writing about this for the Pyramid of Power. At the top, secret societies. It is a cult. They use symbolism. So to be totally dismissive, I think isn't fair. But then also there's a little bit of like, you go so far down the rabbit hole, your fucking brain falls out and you can't think straight anymore. So there's got to be a balance. Like, he's got to be a balance, guys. Not everything is a conspiracies, but conspiracies do exist. And so how do we navigate the world where we should naturally probably be suspicious? And as we've talked about, people are suspicious of your rapid rise. And so that when they see something like that, they're like, hey, this is them signaling to whatever, blah, blah. He is showing his handlers on stuff.
I know that. The way that, here's how I look at it, right? Is that in the online world, you're right. Like, there are plants, there are operators, and we know there are. And a lot of them are faceless accounts, but some of them are probably like the face accounts, the people that we, are real influencers, right? And there's some people that have lots of evidence, some that have some. And so it's like, how do you trust people? And my take on it is you don't. My take on it is you treat everyone as just an individual that's just telling you their opinion. And if they're showing you sources, then they're showing you the sources' opinions. And if there's the source, and if there's no sources, I mean, like, hey, don't even trust the sources. If it's like CNN, trust it for only what it is. Exactly. But if they're not showing sources, it's just their fucking opinion. And you should just judge them on their actions and their opinions and what they're sharing. And you should never try to treat someone like they're on some fucking pedestal. And then if they show you evidence that they're on a weird thread, like, for example, you see me talking about this stuff and I'm not talking about Peter Thiel and all this other techno stuff. And you're like, Ian, why the fuck aren't you talking about this other stuff? And then we get into a conversation. We realize, like, oh, I don't know enough about that yet. I should learn more. I started learning more.
Method, and I wish more people did that. Exactly. Have conversations. Toss to somebody, and you could reach out. Nobody makes email, phone call, a DM, like, oh, like, hey, I have this question about.
And if someone really is an op, through the process of genuine engagement with them as a normal person would, they'll expose themselves, right? And if whether they do or don't, you don't have to make up your mind about people, because, like, the thing about Bracelet that was really interesting to me to learn is it taught me to be way more careful about what I lob at other people in the public square, because I don't know their lives and I don't know that shit.
You're like,
it's like, oh, like,
is that how they feel?
I know my real life.
Accusations about that. Yeah, I got that same one too.
Exactly.
And I also think it happens the closer you get, or the more people you meet, like, because there's some people who are just living this on the internet, right?
Yeah.
They don't come to in-person events, whether as an attendee or as a speaker.
I prioritize meeting people in person.
That's for that reason. Important. And then when you do, you're like, okay, not sure. Like you said, there's been plenty of people that I've met that I've told face to face, I'm not even sure if I fully trust you. I think I said that too.
Yep.
But I'm also not asking you to watch my baby or something.
Exactly.
Like, I could have a conversation.
But when people do bring me around their kids, I do gain a lot of trust. Like, that's a strong indicator. It's like, if you'll show me your family, you'll show me your friends, if you'll show me where you grew up.
And even then, that shouldn't remove all skepticism. As we know that historically, there are people who are double agents, CIA agents undercover, and their families have no idea. And, maybe they get exposed later, and family's like, I had no idea. I thought he was an insurance salesman. But generally speaking, like you're saying, to know Bretois as a human being, it changes things a little bit. And I think that's something that's so missing, because we're 24/7 online, and where it's easy to concoct things and to draw connections, some of which are real, some of which are, you're stretching, you're imagining.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But at the end of the day, just don't blindly trust Ian or me or anybody else, and you'll be okay. Like,
do your own research.
Like, I feel like that's back to what we were talking about with Bitcoin, is people fall into this cult-like mentality of looking for their leader, whether it's Donald Trump or Michael Saylor or David Sachs or whatever, or I just want Ian to do all my thing.
Yeah. Or entrusting your keys to Robinhood.
Or something. Whatever. It's like you're just outsourcing your own power, your own sovereignty, and in this case, your own thinking. So, and it happens because, like we saw with us debating, people take it personally. Like, I had some friends message me. It's like, oh my God, it was hurting me to see you guys going. I'm like, we never even met in person, but they're like taking this to heart of like, my two favorite guys are fighting or whatever, because they're identifying the class, which is what people do with politicians.
Exactly.
And then they're kind of giving away their own power. And then, so then if you're attacked or questioned, they feel personal.
Yeah.
Or if you turn out to be somebody different that they thought, even if that wasn't really who you ever claimed to be, then they're like, oh my God, you sold it, because they're identifying with somebody else and outsourcing their power. It's a huge fuck.
Be your own person. Do your own research. Form your own identity. We're just dudes. Yeah, we're just dudes.
What's next for you, man? What you got?
Next, I got a couple more weeks of Candace, and I'm super stoked. I'm learning a ton. I'm really getting into my flow. I'm stoked on the episodes that we're doing that are coming out next. And then we've got a couple of engagements where I'm like going to go visit family, take my girlfriend up north with me. We're going to tour the country a little bit more before kind of settling down for the fall, down in Austin, where we're going to throw this event we were talking about. So it's kind of like taking off all the boxes and getting all the travel out of the way before it gets fall. So stoked.
Well, I look forward to seeing you know what you're doing, Candace, and where it comes next. And hopefully we'll continue the dialogue. But I think people enjoy hearing us back and forth and when we agree and we don't agree. And
I learned a lot, man.
well, if any, I mean, I learned through you as well, man. I'm not going to act like I'm the one sitting here teaching you like or anything like that. I think also more importantly, I think you said this when you were online last time. From what I could see, the audience seems to gain something out of it.
Exactly.
People appreciate something that they're not used to seeing, which is two people who may not agree on everything and may not agree on really important things, but who can still have a dialogue without it turning it to some internet, silly thing,
Just people being beefer.
Yes. Appreciate your time.
Dude, totally, man.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, remember, you are powerful.